The alien palace gleamed under the light of three suns, its towers and spires rising like crystal fingers into the sky. The air shimmered with energy, carrying the hum of distant machines and the subtle scent of alien flora that grew in floating gardens. Yet despite the palace's beauty and grandeur, a tension filled the throne room, one that could be felt by anyone who entered. Today the alien king, Lord Frail, sat upon his throne, a tall figure with shimmering armor that marked his centuries of rule. His eyes, sharp and calculating, were fixed on the human who had entered his court. Kale, a human soldier from a distant star, had never seen anything like this place. The sheer size of the throne room, the luminous walls, and the hovering guards, all seemed designed to remind every visitor of the king's power. Yet Kale held himself straight, trying not to show awe. Humans were known for bravery but often underestimated by alien civilizations, and Kale could feel the weight of judgment in every gaze around him. Before him knelt a frail girl, no more than 14 standard cycles in age, with pale skin and silver eyes that seemed too soft for a world of warriors. She was Princess Liara, the only daughter of the king. Unlike other children of the royal line, she did not radiate strength or vitality. Her movements were careful, almost hesitant, and even the guards whispered about her fragility. "My daughter," the king said, his voice resonant, "is unlike others of her blood. Her body is weak, yet her mind is sharp. The Empire expects warriors from my line, yet she cannot wield a blade as they can. That is why I have brought you here, human." His gaze shifted to Kale. "You will protect her. You will train her, and you will ensure she survives in a galaxy that is unforgiving." Kyle's brow furrowed. "Your Highness, I am only a soldier. I can fight. I can teach. But making her a warrior, that is beyond any human's ability." The king's eyes narrowed. "Humans possess qualities my people do not. Adaptability, intuition, and courage in ways that defy logic. That is why you are chosen. The galaxy does not care for weakness. If she is to live, she must learn from someone who can see beyond the limits of our expectations." Kale swallowed, his heart pounding. This was not a mission he had anticipated. Humans rarely received such direct trust from alien royalty, and yet, here he stood, entrusted with a life that might determine the future of an entire empire. The first days were difficult. Liara had never held a sword, never faced the discipline of martial training, and often tired after just a few swings. Kyle watched her struggle, but he did not allow frustration to show. Instead, he taught her patience, careful footwork, and the importance of thinking ahead rather than relying solely on strength. "You have to feel the flow, Princess," Kale said one afternoon, standing beside her in a training hall that glimmered with holographic targets. "Strength alone will not save you. The mind guides the body. If you can outthink your opponent, your body will follow." Liara's silver eyes narrowed. "But I am weak. I cannot match the other cadets. Why even try?" Kyle knelt to her level, meeting her gaze. "Weak? You call yourself weak because you compare yourself to others. But the galaxy does not care for those who follow blindly. It rewards those who learn, adapt, and use their mind. You may be smaller, but that is not weakness. It is an opportunity to find your own path." Days turned into weeks. Liara practiced relentlessly under Kyle's guidance, slowly gaining confidence. She learned to dodge, to anticipate, to use her agility rather than her limited strength. Kyle introduced her to human tactics, unconventional, unpredictable, and often frowned upon by alien traditions. She began to surprise him, and slowly, he began to see potential where others saw only fragility, yet not everyone approved. The alien court murmured behind closed doors, questioning the king's judgment. A human training a princess? Outrageous. Some whispered that Kale would fail, and Liara would become a liability. Even among her peers, the whispers followed her. She felt the weight of doubt pressing down on her, a heavy shadow she could not escape. One evening, a challenge arrived. Mercenaries from a nearby system, sensing weakness in the palace's defenses, launched a sudden raid. Kale and Liara were caught outside the palace grounds. The attack was swift, a blur of alien weapons and precision strikes. Liara froze at first, panic flashing across her face. But Kale's calm voice broke through. "Focus, Liara. Use what I taught you. The world won't wait for fear." Heart pounding, she did. She dodged a strike from a mercenary rolling to the side, and used a combination of speed and clever misdirection to escape. Kyle followed closely, fighting off attackers while guiding her through the chaos. By the end, they reached safety, bruised and exhausted, but alive. That night, as the city lights reflected off the palace spires, Liara sat silently beside Kale. Her hands shook, not from fear, but from the adrenaline coursing through her. I never thought I could do that," she whispered. Kale shook his head with a small smile. "You did it because you had to. Because you wanted to. That is the first step toward becoming more than what others expect of you." For the first time, Liara felt something stir inside her, a spark of determination. She realized that strength was not always physical. It was courage, willpower, and the ability to learn from failure. The days that followed were a mixture of training and political tension. Liara continued to improve under Kyle's guidance, surprising even the most skeptical of the alien instructors. She learned to blend alien techniques with human improvisation, creating a style uniquely her own. Kyle encouraged her to trust herself, to see beyond the limitations her own people imposed on her. Then came the first true test within the palace itself. A faction of nobles, resentful of a human training a princess, attempted an assassination. The palace alarms blared as intruders slipped through the defenses. Kyle was quick to react, but Liara insisted on helping, refusing to be sidelined. Together they faced the intruders. Liara's agility and cunning allowed her to evade attacks, trap opponents, and even disarm them. Kyle fought beside her, providing guidance and support, but the moment belonged to her. By the time the palace guards arrived, Liara had already subdued several attackers and held the rest at bay. The court watched in astonishment. The frail girl they had doubted, the princess who could barely lift a training sword weeks ago, now stood firm and confident, her movements precise and calculated. The whispers of doubt fell silent, replaced by murmurs of awe. Later in the quiet of the palace training hall, Liara lowered her sword, exhausted but exhilarated. She looked at Kale, eyes shining with a new light. "I want to be stronger, not just for myself, but for everyone who believes in me," she said. Kale nodded, pride evident in his expression. "Then we keep going. The galaxy is bigger than this palace, Liara. The challenges ahead will be harder, and you must be ready. But I promise you, if you continue on this path, no one will be able to underestimate you again." The alien king, observing from a balcony, allowed himself a small smile. His daughter, once frail and overlooked, had taken her first steps toward greatness, and the human who had guided her was proving that courage and wisdom could come from any corner of the galaxy, even from a species many had dismissed. As the sun set over the palace, Liara trained late into the night, her movements fluid, her mind sharp, her determination unyielding. She did not yet know the battles and trials the galaxy would throw at her, but for the first time, she believed in herself. She would survive. She would fight. And one day she would become the warrior she was always meant to be. And somewhere in the quiet shadows of the palace, Kale allowed himself a moment of satisfaction. The human entrusted with a fragile alien princess had succeeded in awakening something far greater than either of them had imagined. Part 1 ended not with victory, but with the promise of a transformation. The birth of a warrior forged from trust, determination, and the unlikeliest of alliances. The galaxy beyond the palace was vast and unforgiving, filled with planets that burned under hostile suns, and star systems where war and chaos were the only constants. For Liara, the journey from a frail, sheltered princess to a warrior capable of facing such a universe was only beginning. Under Kale's guidance, she had survived her first true test within the palace walls. But now the challenges would grow larger, more dangerous, and more complex. The morning air in the training grounds was crisp, and the 3 suns of the capital planet cast long shadows on the smooth energy floor. Kale stood at the edge of the field, arms crossed, watching Liara move with a grace and precision that would have been unthinkable months before. She dodged, weaved, and struck with skill that combined alien martial techniques and human adaptability. "You have improved beyond my expectations," Kale said, his voice calm but firm. "But training alone will not make you a warrior. A warrior must face the unpredictable. That is the next step." Liara paused, sweat running down her face but determination burning in her silver eyes. "I'm ready," she said, her voice steady. She did not fear the next challenge because she had learned the first and most important lesson. Courage was born in action, not comfort. Kale led her to the edge of the capital's defenses. Beyond the protective shields, small rebel factions and mercenary groups moved through the outer sectors. The first assignment for Liara would take her into that dangerous space. Their mission was simple: gather intelligence, identify potential threats, and return without alerting enemy forces. Yet Kale knew that for Liara, this would be more than reconnaissance. It would be a test of her instincts, strategy, and leadership. The journey to the outer sectors was tense. Liara piloted a small ship, her hand steady on the controls while Kyle guided her from the co-pilot station. When they arrived, a planet scarred by past conflicts came into view, its surface marred with craters and remnants of destroyed cities. "This is where the Empire lost contact with a research team," Kale explained. "The mission is to locate them or at least learn what happened. You will decide the approach, Princess. Trust your instincts." Liara's mind worked quickly. She assessed the terrain, identified potential hazards, and charted a route that avoided obvious traps. "We will land in the Western Valley," she said confidently. "It gives us cover and we can approach the city ruins without being seen." Kale raised an eyebrow. "Very well. Lead the way." Once on the planet, Liara's training was tested in ways the palace could never simulate. Alien predators prowled the ruins and hidden traps awaited every step. Yet she moved with precision, anticipating danger and adjusting to unexpected threats. Kale followed closely, observing her decisions, guiding when necessary, but allowing her autonomy. Hours passed. They discovered evidence of the research team, torn equipment, signs of struggle, but no survivors. The planet itself seemed alive with danger. As they prepared to leave, a group of mercenaries emerged from the shadows surrounding them. Liara's pulse quickened, but she did not panic. She quickly assessed their positions, weaknesses, and the environment. "Use the terrain," she instructed Kyle. "If we split, we can flank them and escape." Kale nodded, impressed. Humans were often praised for improvisation, but Liara's use of it in combination with alien tactics was remarkable. They executed the plan flawlessly, outmaneuvering the mercenaries and escaping without a single serious injury. For the first time in an actual combat scenario beyond the palace, Liara's leadership shone. When they returned to the capital, the alien king summoned them. The court was silent as Liara stepped forward, not as a frail princess but as a confident leader. She reported their findings, described her strategy, and answered questions with clarity and precision. The nobles who had once doubted her now exchanged glances of awe and respect. "You have exceeded my expectations, Liara," the king said, his voice resonant and filled with pride. "Your strength is not only in your body but in your mind and heart. You honor both the crown and the human who trained you." Liara bowed, her eyes meeting Kyle's. "I could not have done it without him, Your Highness. He taught me that strength is not measured in muscle alone." Kyle, standing quietly behind her, felt a rare surge of pride. The human who had been doubted and scorned was now recognized as the one who shaped a princess into a leader capable of facing the galaxy's dangers. As weeks passed, Liara's reputation grew. She was assigned to lead small forces in the Empire's outer territories, defending colonies, negotiating with local leaders, and thwarting threats that no one else could handle. Each mission tested her skills, her courage, and her ingenuity. Kale remained at her side, both mentor and strategist, guiding her through political and physical challenges alike. One of their most significant tests came when a neighboring empire, jealous of the capital's power, launched a surprise attack on a border planet. Liara was tasked with leading a force to defend the key outpost. The alien commanders doubted her ability to command soldiers, but Kale reminded her that fear was natural, and leadership required facing it head-on. The battle was fierce. Alien war machines clashed, energy beams tore through the skies, and soldiers fought with desperation. Liara observed the battlefield with a keen eye, identifying weaknesses and making rapid decisions. She repositioned troops, set clever traps, and used unconventional tactics that confused the enemy. Her human-influence strategies allowed them to hold the line despite being outnumbered. In the heat of combat, Liara personally faced the enemy commander, a veteran alien warrior known for ruthlessness. He laughed at the sight of a fragile princess confronting him alone. But Liara did not falter. Using agility, speed, and strategy rather than brute strength, she outmaneuvered him, forcing a surrender without unnecessary bloodshed. The victory was celebrated across the empire. Liara had not only defended the planet but also proved that a human-trained princess could be a warrior of unmatched skill. Her combination of courage, intelligence, and adaptability became legendary, inspiring humans and aliens alike. Yet Liara did not become arrogant. She knew that every battle, every mission was a lesson. She continued training, learning, and evolving. Kale introduced her to diplomacy, strategy, and leadership in addition to combat. Together, they worked to bridge the gap between humans and aliens, showing that cooperation and respect could overcome prejudice. The alien king, watching his daughter grow stronger, allowed himself moments of quiet pride. Liara, once frail and overlooked, had become the symbol of the Empire's future. And Kyle, the human who had guided her, had earned respect, breaking centuries of bias against his species. The final test came when a notorious enemy fleet threatened the capital itself. Liara was entrusted with coordinating the defense. She analyzed the fleet's movements, predicted their strategies, and deployed forces in ways that maximized their strengths. The battle was long and brutal, but her leadership and ingenuity led to victory. The enemy retreated and the Empire was safe once more. After the battle, Liara stood atop the palace balcony, looking at the city below. The suns cast golden light across the spires and the citizens cheered, their voices echoing across the capital. She turned to Kale, who stood beside her quietly, and smiled. "We did it," she said softly, "not just for me, but for everyone who believed in what we could do together." Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. "You did it. I only showed the way. The warrior is yours, Liara. Always has been." The alien king approached, placing a hand on Liara's shoulder as well. "You have brought honor to our empire, my daughter. Your courage, your mind, and your heart have proven that strength is not defined by the body alone. You have become the warrior we all feared would never exist." Liara nodded, humility and pride mingling in her expression. She had once been frail, doubted, and underestimated. Now she stood as a leader, a protector, and a symbol of hope. She had faced the galaxy's dangers, learned from every challenge, and become a warrior in every sense. Kyle looked at her, knowing that their journey was far from over. The galaxy was vast and challenges would continue to rise. But for the first time, they both knew that together, human and alien, mentor and princess, they could face anything. As the sun set, casting long shadows over the palace, Liara raised her head and looked toward the stars. The galaxy was full of unknowns, but she no longer feared them. She was ready. She was strong. She was a warrior, and the human who had guided her smiled quietly, knowing that trust, courage, and a willingness to learn could change even the most unlikely of destinies. The Empire watched, inspired. The galaxy listened, amazed. A frail princess had become a mighty warrior, and it all began with a human who saw what others refused to believe.